Hello, this is Samsa again from GamingonLinux.com, and today I'm playing the Talos Principle. So this was one of those games that got released for Linux recently. Well, this one was released for all the platforms at the same time. And this is also the one that has intrigued me the most out of all those games. I've tried to put some hours into all of them, but I sort of prioritized the Talos Principle because I got very into this game, and I've played this game for about 6 hours now. So, as you might know, the Talos Principle is a first-person puzzle game where you have to solve, well, lots of different puzzles that involve various different components. And well, I love this. It has a nice Portal feeling to it, which I absolutely love. And that's why I've spent so much time with this game. Also, this might seem a bit, this menu system might look a bit familiar to some of you. So this game was made by the people who made Serious Sam 3 BFE, and that's why this menu is so similar to the one in Serious Sam. It basically uses the same engine and thus the same menu system, which also means that the game looks absolutely gorgeous. So let's get into the game, and I'll show you the things you need to be shown so that you can consider whether to buy this game or not. So once it just stops loading, thank you. I'm just going to go one floor down so I get to the hub area, and then we can access all of the things around here. So yeah, I think you can already see that this game is quite nice looking. I don't even have this game maxed out. On here in the top right corner, you can see my frame rate at the moment. And as you probably might know,
Child, have you been tempted by the tower? Know that it holds only death for you.
Yeah, that might have been an odd place to start. This is a place where the guy that just spoke, he has warned me not to go there, and I sort of went there, and I guess I just got told about that. Okay, but yeah, anyway. So, what was I talking about? Oh, the performance. Yes, so I'm running this game on a fairly powerful rig with Intel i5-2500K and GTX 760. And I had to drop down some settings in order to make this game run properly. This game is kinda demanding. It requires a lot of horsepower to get this game running on good, like acceptable frame rates. Though it did run a bit better once I dropped down a couple of settings I can show you. So I'm still running this on high, as you can see, but these go up to ultra, and you can even customize this stuff so that you can enable stuff if you want to do that. But I set everything to high, and now it runs at solid 60 most of the time. It does drop below 40 at times, but in this case it doesn't really matter because the game is more about puzzles instead of doing all the shooting and stuff. So the low-ish frame rate doesn't always matter. But then anyway, let's start talking about the game itself. So this is the hub area where you can access all of the important bits of the game. So these buildings here are the 3 temples, all of which contain about 7 or 8 or something around that levels, which in turn all contain around 5, 6 or 7 puzzles. And all of these temples are a bit different. They all have their own theme. For example, the first temple, the Temple A, it contains sort of ancient Greek and Roman architecture. And Temple B contains like Egyptian stuff. Temple C was a bit different, and I won't spoil that for you. But I'm mainly going to focus on these two temples here, so that I don't spoil too much stuff, because this is, after all, a puzzle game. I will also talk about the story in I will touch it lightly, because I don't want to spoil any of that stuff, because this game, even though it's a puzzle, very much puzzle-oriented game, it still has a story. And in my opinion, the story is quite neat. Yeah, let's go to the Temple A, and I will show you a couple of those levels. So in Talos Principle, most of the, well, technically the levels are available to you. Of course, you need to complete some puzzles in order to access all of the temples, but you can basically just decide what you want to do and when. The only limitations are, of course, that you need to unlock blocks, which you use to unlock various different things. So if I go back here, there are these two things. These are actually puzzle components. Actually, well, they were before I unlocked them. So when you complete these puzzles, which you access by going through these portals, you can see that they have these sort of Tetris blocks, and you use those blocks to unlock new puzzle components, and in order to access the other temples and such. You also have those up here in the corner. You have red blocks, which are used a bit differently. But I won't spoil that for you. There are also those stars, so I might actually take a look here and see if I can find a way to get that star. But yeah, let's go to this was level 2, so let's go to level 2 and I'll show you how the puzzle mechanics work. So, as you can see, the game just threw me into this sort of Greek environment, Greek ruins. And here you can see that the game is indeed quite beautiful, though the game tanks around here quite a bit, so it's running at around 40 frames per second. It's still acceptable in my opinion, and I could drop down the settings even more if I wanted some more speed. There are also these computer screens, these terminals, and the terminals are these are most of the story. The story is told through these terminals, and I can show this to you because this terminal is not beeping, so that means there is nothing really all that interesting about this terminal. But these terminals contain various different things, such as chat logs, emails, text documents, journals, and whatnot. So we could check this email, for example. And these emails and text documents, they tell you the backstory to the whole thing. And this is talking about the Talos Principle. So the story is quite interesting. The story basically goes somewhat like this. So you basically just wake up. That's the first thing you do. You wake up in this world, controlled by a strange being called Elohim, which I believe means God. But you're not just, as far as I know, this is not real world by any means. All of these text documents and such indicate that these glitches and stuff, they indicate that this is actually a world that is being hosted on a computer, so it's a completely virtual world, and many of those documents talk about artificial intelligence. I think you can probably draw your own conclusions from that already. Yeah, let's talk about the... Oh, by the way, this is also a thing in Talos Principle. Some parts of the story are also told by these QR codes that you can find around the levels. So these are messages from different people. So this one is from Sheep, version 69.1.0053. Yeah, subversion numbers. You can probably already see where this is going. But this is one of the puzzles that I have completed. So the puzzles, like I said, they use various different components. And I believe this... Actually, let me check. So you can see what components these levels... Well, it doesn't show it here. But it shows... it's... I guess it doesn't show us that anymore. But this this level contains probably... I guess this is one of the early puzzles, so this doesn't actually do all that much. But these puzzles have different sorts of components. For example, these jammers. And what these jammers do is they can deactivate various different things. And for example, they can deactivate these walls. So now I can walk through here if I disable that. And that way I can progress in the level. And there are also these walls where I can walk through those, but I can't bring any items with me. So you can probably already see what the point here is. So you need to... Alright, I think I know what I need to do. So I need to jam that, and then I can walk through here. And jam that, so now I've gotten a bit further. But I'm still not quite there. There's still one area here, and I don't think I have another jammer. So I imagine what I need to do is I need to do that, and then... Can I actually? No, I can't see the... Wait, yes I can. Barely. So now I should be able to go through here. Of course there won't be a Tetris block here, because I've completed this level already. But you can probably get the idea. So the Tetris block would have been somewhere around here, and then this would have opened once I got the block. Simple. Let's go back to the temple, and I'll show you some of the puzzles from a bit later on, which have other elements as well. You use the jammer in some puzzles, but often you need to also use various other things. So let's go to level 7. Here we should have a couple more of these elements. And yeah, I absolutely love these environments that they have here. These levels are, in my opinion, they are created very, very nicely. Even though these areas are mainly, they work as hubs, and they also do some story stuff and so on and so forth, they are still designed very well, and the puzzles are, in my opinion, also designed extremely nicely. So okay, so this one, yeah, I've completed this one, but this puzzle introduces a new component called the connector. So what the connector does is it uses these power sources, and then we can connect the power source into a receiver like that. And that way we can get even further into the level. So we probably need to work with a bunch of different receivers on this level. Oh, and this was one of the more tricky levels. I had to spend some time figuring this one out. So the puzzles are... Some of the puzzles are quite easy, especially the ones that teach you about new stuff, but they do have some quite difficult puzzles in here as well. And this one especially was a rather difficult one, because you need to really think about the space around you. For example, you need to think where these windows are, and sometimes the game sort of tricks you into using things that you don't really need to use. so I imagine the solution would go something like this. And that way I can access this place and get a new connector, which I could then... I can't even remember where the... Oh yeah, now I remember. So the Tetris block would have been somewhere there. I can't quite remember how the solution to this went, but I remember it required some careful placement of those connectors. And also you needed to mess with this, because these walls can be opened by connecting the power source to the receiver, or by using the jammer. So yeah, quite interesting stuff. But because this one was quite tricky, I think I'm going to skip that. Let's go to the next temple, I think, and I will show you some of the levels that I haven't yet done, and maybe we can do one actual level. Because there's really no point in going through this stuff. And like I said, if you find a puzzle that's too difficult for you, so that you can't figure it out, you can just skip it. You don't need to do it. Sometimes, if you have... As you can see, these blocks are colored differently. So the green blocks, I believe, were for opening the next temple, and the yellow blocks were probably for unlocking new puzzle components. So those are the ones that you really need to do. But the red ones are sort of extra, and they are not necessary until the sort of end. I can probably spoil it for you. You need those to access the tower. And I've got 14, so I could probably access some of the levels on the tower, but I haven't quite figured out some of the things in the tower quite yet. And as you can see, there are a bunch of these terminals around here, and all of them have different journals. And these ones on the temple entrances also talk about the theme a bit. So, for example, this has some historical documents about Rome and Greece. But yeah, let's go to Temple B, and I will show you some of those Egyptian levels. So these levels are mainly focused on like tombs and pyramids, sand and stuff, while the ones in Temple A are more focused on like, well, Roman buildings and Greek architecture. And the Temple Hub also reflects the theme. And seriously, I can't get over how good this looks. This is probably one of the best looking games on Linux at the moment. So let's see what which one of these levels I haven't yet accessed. Oh. Okay, so this is a star level. I can't access it, this one yet. And it unlocks... I can't see in this light. These are like gray blocks or something. Sorry, I'm a bit colorblind, especially when it's so super dark. And then there are also some levels that are behind bars like that. And there's probably a way to access them. At least there was in Temple C. But yeah, for example, on level 5 I haven't completed this level, and you can see what elements this uses. So this requires a device called the recorder, the air blower thing, blocks, and also connectors. So let's go and see if I can actually figure this one out. This was one of the trickiest puzzles, because this involves so many different things that I get quite overwhelmed with this one. We can follow the signs, they lead us to the necessary place. And also, some of these levels contain secrets. So it's worth checking every nook and corner in every level, Because, as you can see, sometimes you are able to access stars by doing that. And also there are like audio logs and terminals hidden around the levels. So if I could access that star, if I figured out a way to connect a blue power source to this blue receiver, and the power source is probably on one of these levels. But I'm not going to go hunt for that now, so this is not it. So let's see where the puzzle I haven't done is, and I will try to complete it at least for some time. I'm not sure if I can truly complete it, because it was a very tricky puzzle. It seems this place is sort of sinking. There's probably nothing here except I hear a device of some sort. So let's see if I can actually access that. Yeah, it looks like or it sounds like there is something around there, but I can't quite access it. So that's probably a secret of some sort, and it's very tricky to jump on anything. Oh, by the way, there's a QR code here. So that's one was from dog. Okay, but let's see if I can find that puzzle and solve it. Don't freak out, you palm tree thing. Okay, this is the level. So here we have a bunch of different things that we can do and what we have to do, really. So we have these are quite simple, so you probably already understand how these work. So you put these on pressure plates to unlock stuff. There's also this connector and this air blower, which, as you can see, it allows me to float. And this is actually a good place to check what's on this level. So I see that there is this receiver which is connected to this wall, and the block is behind there. So I imagine the thing I need to do is I need to get there. So I need to unlock all of that stuff. And when I'm done with that, I should connect this to that. I imagine it's probably possible to already do that. It shouldn't be that hard. But it requires some thinking, because if I take this, then that place won't be available anymore. But what I can do is I can connect all of this stuff already. Of course, if I put it here, this wall is going to block the laser, so that sort of makes it completely useless. And this hexahedron can be used to do that. Though, as you can see, it's not quite... it's a bit silly to do that, but this device might help us a bit. So what this does is it records our actions. And it can then play those actions back. So one of the things I could do here is I could do that. And now I'm creating a copy of my actions. So I'm basically recording stuff. And then when I play that back, all of the things in real world reset. And my friend there does stuff that's actually sort of not happening in real world, but it sort of is. And I completely failed that. So I need to reset. Okay, so I think I already know what I need to do, but I just didn't do it quite fast enough. Okay, so let's take this away from that. And let's record us doing the thing we did before. And let's wait long enough for me to move this there and to connect all of this stuff. And then we should be fine. And I should also get out, so I need to spare some time for that as well. Because otherwise I will get stuck in there, and that's not good. Okay, I think 40 not minutes, seconds is probably enough for me. Okay, so my friend goes there, and I connect all of this stuff properly, and put this... Right, I forgot the hexahedron. Okay, this is bad. Hopefully I can still do this, connect everything, and get out. Okay. Now the question is, can I do this stuff? Because I don't think I can. Okay, so now all of the stuff that I can use to step on these is gone. And I can no longer access that, so this puzzle is now broken. There is a way to still do this, I think. Yeah, there is a way to break this. But probably the easiest way to... What I could do now is I could record, and I could stand here, and then I could take that, so that those would drop, and then I would have my puzzle pieces back. But as you can see, this particular puzzle requires some careful thinking. So what I could do now is I could take that, and I could place it here. And once he steps off that plate, all of that stuff is going to drop, and then that stuff is behind there. But what I could do now is I could record. I could take this up. I can't, actually. I need to stand here myself. And then I could move that there, but then I would have to make my way back somehow. But let's see if I can actually do this. So now you take that, but you can't actually take it. Then you stand there. And then I move this here. Ah, but I see how this can fail. Okay, so now my stuff is there, but I can't anymore. I can't access it anymore. So I'm stuck. This is basically being stuck completely. If I'm completely stuck, there is a way for me to get some hints. So I can see console, and if you have found messenger, which is basically an android like yourself. If I click reset, you can see my hands, and yeah, I look like an android. So if you find a messenger which is also an android like you can see console, and that way you can get some tips. So that way our messenger here will offer us... Yes, I am sure. I need help. Okay, so now Uriel 4 will give me a tip. Is the fan holding a plate? Well, that was really freaking useful. Thanks! Yeah, I got nowhere. But I imagine it probably told me about this stuff. So I'm not sure if the Elohims messenger quite got the message, because I'm seriously stuck in the beginning, not in the end. But I imagine I probably need to keep this stuff available to me, and only in the end I need to take all of this. So I could technically take this, and now I would have a bunch of different pieces that I can take with me. The thing is, you need to think very carefully what you want to bring and where, because all of this stuff is fairly important to us. But yeah, I'm not going to even try that, because that's probably going to take me at least an hour to figure out. But yeah, I think you now got some sort of an idea of how this game works. And well, like I said, I've really liked this game. It has a Portal-like feeling. It has like some of the things are very similar to how Portal did it, and I'm not complaining about that, because Portal was it was a fantastic game. You have Elohim, who's like sort of like GLaDOS, and then you have these cryptic messages spread through these levels, and you have these various journal entries that you can read, and then and by doing that you can sort of get an idea of what was going on in the sort of real world when the Talos project was started. And so far I've enjoyed myself. I've had awesome time playing this. The puzzles are, many of them are challenging, but they are also very rewarding when you get through them. And like I said before, if you get stuck with a particular puzzle, then you can just skip it, move on to the next one, and that way you can prevent yourself from getting frustrated. So that way the game sort of makes sure the game can still be interesting to you, and you won't get frustrated and just rage quit. Of course, you probably need to do all of these puzzles eventually. I'm not sure how many of these red pieces you really need, and do you need all of them? But I imagine completing all of the puzzles is pretty much mandatory. So, of course, you need to be able to figure them out. So if you just absolutely hate puzzles, then of course this game is not going to be for you. But if you enjoy puzzle solving, clever puzzles, great environments, and a nice little story, then I absolutely recommend you pick up Talos Principle. It's, in my opinion, one of the best games, if not the best game that came out this year. It's my personal game of the year, at least so far. I haven't quite played enough of some of the cool games that have been released recently to be absolutely sure about that. But based on my experiences, I'm fairly sure that this is going to be my personal game of the year 2014. But I believe that's plenty of stuff. I don't want to spoil too many of these puzzles for you, and I absolutely don't want to spoil the story for you, because the story requires you to think yourself, and I don't want to spoil any of that. You need to experience it yourself. If you want to check out what the game is all about without spending money on it, I think the demo is probably still out, so you can check that out. It's free, so check it out. In my opinion, it gives a nice overview of the puzzle mechanics in Talos Principle. And I do recommend that you get this game, because it's just amazing. It's so gorgeous, the puzzles are very well executed, and the environments are well made, and the story is interesting. So absolutely go for it. It's probably going to be on sale, considering that there are all these Christmas sales and whatnot going on. So get it, absolutely get it. But that's about it. So thanks for watching this video, and we will see in future videos and live streams. See you then!